been creative. And so I called an attorney, by the way, a UT guy. I've had a lot of support from fraternity brothers. I was an ATO when I was here, not because I had any social background, but because I had a couple of friends that were ATOs, and they hadn't had an intramural heavyweight boxer for about 15 years. So we all got heavy on beer one night, and they said, if you'll represent us, intramurals, we'll work a deal with a chapter where you don't have to pay any dues and no initiation fees. So I became an ATO, and I enjoyed it. They didn't get much for their money because I didn't do too well. But I will tell you, I did hit a lick there in that at one time. But at any rate, it was just a combination of this and that. And during the service, I had, before I went into the service, let me backtrack. Since I was on a football scholarship at Southwestern, the coach had us on workout programs in the off season. And I had a guy from the Valley that was a middleweight, 160-pounder that had fought in the Golden Gloves a couple of years. And he said, wanted me to work out with him, so the coach okayed it. So I started working out with him, and we come down to San Antonio to box in the Golden Gloves. I just came with him. And so the guy signing us in handed me a certificate, and he said, how much do you weigh? And I said, a little over 200. And he said, good. Put you in the heavyweight. I said, no, I'm just along with my friend. He said, we're short of heavyweights. You ought to. At any rate, so I got into that and had pretty good success. And then when I was in the Army, I ended up with a little term with in Korea, and my captain was an Aggie from the Valley, and he saw where I had done this boxing in the Golden Gloves, and he said, I want you to represent me at the 7th Corps, which was all of South Korea. And I said, I've already tried that, Captain. I'm not very good at that. And he said, well, we don't have anybody big enough to do it. You got to do it. So I got lucky there. I had 3 or 4 guys that really couldn't do anything. They were out of shape. I was in good shape. But I was a heavyweight champion of the 7th Corps in Korea. And pretty big deal, really. But so all this rambling around and back here I am in the baseball business because I called an attorney in town that had really helped me a lot. And as a matter of fact, he was the regent at that time of UT. And I said, Mr. Sorrell, how can I get this baseball team without any cash? And I said, I understand they're going to take bankruptcy. And he said, I don't know how you get anything without any cash. And I said, well, think about it some. So he called me in a couple of days, and he said, come on by. So he said, I'm going to call all the creditors. They have not yet put it in bankruptcy. You find a way to get the shares in the corporation from the family that has the stock, and I'm going to call the creditors together, and I'm going to get you a chance to run that club. So he called the creditors together, and he said, here's what we're going to do. Red and his friend here are going to take over this baseball club, and you guys agree to take 70% of the cash flow for the first 2 years, and that will relieve all the club's obligations to you. And if it's not enough money, you still forgive the debts. If it is, well then he'll have you paid off, and you don't have to put it in bankruptcy. And one of the guys said, we don't even know that kid. Why would we want to do something like that? And Mr. Sorrell, pardon this crude expression, but Mr. Sorrell said, have you guys ever tried to sell used jock straps? He said, there are no assets to this club. And he said, this is your only chance. Well, we hit a lick real good, real fast. My buddy knew how to put the club together. I was selling everything, selling cars all day, running a ball club at night. And we made enough money the first year to pay off all the creditors. Second year, we made $100,000. And we're written up in Sports Illustrated in 1954 as the best lower league operation in baseball, in Class B. And big time stuff, really. But by 57, that little dream went out the window because people had bought television sets. Jackie Gleason and I Love Lucy and worn out wrestlers were on the tube, and people didn't want to ballpark and let mosquitoes eat on them, so I jettisoned myself out of that. But again, getting off track and getting back on to where I was, I came to UT after I'd gotten out of the Army, and I had the GI Bill, and then that was a godsend. And I was in the spring of my second year in law school and really enjoying law school. And I had a fraternity brother come back from Houston that had graduated the previous spring, and he had helped me as a freshman. He'd helped me with some of my courses, and he was right at the top of the class, and he'd come back to do some student teaching for a torch professor. And I went out and had some beers with him that night, and I found out for the first time what lawyers actually did. And it was just too tedious for me. And I realized that in no way in the world it's going to work. And I really almost went into a panic. Here I am, 22 years old, and I've gotten all this far, and I'm headed to do something that I absolutely don't want to do. And as much as I enjoyed law school, I came over to talk to a dean, assistant dean, and he really chewed me out. He said, you don't understand what practice of law is. It's an honorable profession. And at any rate, I went over to the business school, and I had an eco-profit I really liked. And I talked to him a little while, and he said, you need to get into selling, Red, and sell high-ticket items where you'll progress just based on what you sell. And so that was kind of how I got out of here. I didn't graduate law school, but I loved going to law school. But I knew that there was no way I'd practice law.
We're all MBAs, so that's okay. That's okay. Did you ever have any desire while you were going through all this with the baseball and the football and these various auto investments and things to work internationally? A lot of students here are from overseas or are planning on working overseas. Did you ever consider that?
I really didn't have enough sophistication to even think about international. I did twice give serious thought to leaving San Antonio and going to Southern California. I was offered some really great opportunities there. By that time, our three little girls were, I found out, even though they were just little, almost babies when we moved from Corpus Christi to San Antonio, I found out really what roots meant. I never thought about roots, but just the fact that Charlene had difficulty finding a church that she liked, had difficulty finding a doctor she liked, and I thought, I was so committed to my family, and to me, they were just everything, and I thought, I'm not going to ask them to leave again, but I thought twice about going to Southern California for some big opportunities, but I didn't. And I don't regret it because we love San Antonio and that's been a good home. But I never thought about going international at all. Never even entered my mind.
Okay. A lot of people from Texas feel that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. God bless Texas. God bless Texas. So I think the average age here is about 28 years old. I'm 27, but almost 28. So not that you care, but just for the group. If you were in our shoes, what path in business would you pursue? What industry, jobs, career paths would you recommend?
Well, let me say this again, a roundabout answer to your question. I cannot believe there's a better time in the history of the world than to be in the position you guys are in right now. I think that There is no question but U.S. is the absolute leader of the world. There's nobody even close. China has its own little way, in a big way, but it'll be at least 20 years before they could really take any claim on being world leadership. We still produce 85 to 90% of the technology for the world. The world is totally turned on technology, not going to change. So I can't imagine anybody thinking that there was opportunity anywhere. There might be little pockets here and there, like I'm drilling in Colombia, and we got to spend more for security than we do for drilling. So there are some, there's some money elsewhere, but if you talk about really making a difference, and I like to make a difference in the thing I do, I will say that. I want to make a difference, and I intend to be better at it than the guy across the street. Mm-hmm. And I almost always am. But I think I would be into the, like today, I spent the last 2 days today, one working on an F1 project that all of you have heard little about. It's an impossible project. There's no way in the world it'll work. And when I told my family that I wanted to do this, and my youngest daughter said, "Dad, you're 84 years old. If it's going to be that difficult, why are you going to do it?" And I said, "I don't believe anybody else can do it." And I said, "We're talking about a world-class opportunity here, and if we make it work, we're talking about something that's going to really make a difference. It's not going to take away from anything in Central Texas, but it's going to bring a new component that they've never even dreamed about. And I really like to do something like that really makes a difference." So just as an example, I think we're going to pull it off, but but I never really, I'd like to do things that really make a difference. I don't, if it's possible at all, I'll find a way, I think, to do it. So what I say for you to do, you can come take that over if you'd like. But within the world of technology everything is spinning away from into that and involving that. I think you kind of just pick something you like, or somebody that wants a smart, aggressive person. And I just don't know specifically what area you'd want to move in to do that. But also what I've been doing here the last 2 days is the Blackwater security company that got in trouble in Iraq, and the fellow who had the company had to sell it. I put together some other guys, some of them here from Houston, and I bought that company, and it was in total disarray. And some of you, I'm sure, have heard of Blackwater. But at any rate, I bought that company 18 months ago, and we had a board meeting here yesterday, and I'm proud to say that we have really made some changes in it, and we're doing very well. We're going to do about $300 million worth of business this year. I think we'll do about $35 to $40 million EBITDA. And here's a company that was gone. So I just believe the opportunities are so vast that pick something that you think you'd like to do.
Great. The last question before we open it up to the audience. The Red McCombs School of Business, you gave the largest donation to the university. Why did you do it, number one, and what are your expectations for the business school moving forward?
I never intended to do that, ever.
Okay.
Dean Mays and President Faulkner, thanks, called me, and they were on a conference phone over at the business school and said, you know, we bogged down on this campaign we're in, and the business school is bogged down, and they got about 40% of the campaign raised, and give us some thoughts. So I started throwing out an idea or two, and some of them sounded a little bit interesting to them, and Principal Faulkner said, we can be in San Antonio in about an hour and 15 minutes. Can we talk? Come down there. So they came down, and I asked President Faulkner and Dean May, I said, if you had $10 million, I was trying to think of a hook. Where can I get on the phone right now and call somebody and get this done? What would entice them to do it? I said, let's think about this. You need to, I think the business school's allocation in that campaign was like $100 million. They had raised about 50 of it. I said, all right, let's take this. If you had $10 million with no strings attached, tell me what difference that would make to the business school. And Dean May said, no strings attached? No strings attached. And so they started talking, and they brought up a couple of things that sounded pretty interesting. I said, what if you had 20 million? It really was beginning to get kind of exciting as to the results. So I just picked up the phone, and I called a couple of guys that could have easily given $10 million. And I asked each one of them, I said, we got some really exciting things. I said, if you give the business school $10 million, no strings attached, here are going to be the outcomes, some things we can do. And it's going to really change the school. Red, I'm not interested in that. I'll give you $1 million. The second one said the same thing. I really got kind of angry at them. So I said, what if you had 30 million? And so I talked myself into it. It's the damn craziest thing in the world. I had no plan to do that. I said, what if you had $50 million? They went bananas. Yeah, we can change the school. Change the school, period, and blah, blah, blah. How fast can we do it? Well, we get results immediately. It'll be blah, 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 blah. And I said, all right, I'll give you $50 million. And Dean Faulkner said, you know, we're serious, Red. They thought it was a joke. Because I'd always supported the school, but not anything like that. So I got the same kind of reaction from Charlene and my 3 daughters. I called them over to the house that night, and I said, I gave away $50 million today. And they said, so where's the rest of the story? So anyway, well, fine, Dad, you know.